Do you know how ridiculous it is that a guy by the name of Bernardo Moreno Mejia is the one who is trying to get rid of dual citizenship? Like, sir, you are from Colombia.
If you happen to be a dual national, which means that you're lucky enough to be a citizen of both the UK and another country, then there is a very significant change to passport rules that's happening on the 25th of February.
Okay, if you are pursuing Italian dual citizenship, then these are all the most important dates that you need to know for this year. It's going to be a huge year for dual Italian citizenship, so pay attention.
A lot of countries are trying to crack down on dual citizenship. Most countries are trying to either get rid of dual citizenship. Countries like Nicaragua just passed a constitutional amendment to abolish dual citizenship, with the exception of some Central American nationals. And then the UK is also requiring people with dual citizenship to have a special certificate to enter the UK. If you don't have that certificate, you have to use your British passport. You know what I mean? And also the United States also have this bill that I think was introduced last year about them rid of dual citizenship. Like, basically you have to choose between the US, being a US citizen, or the other country's citizen. Let's say, for example, if you hold a dual citizen between US and Canada, US now is trying, there's a bill right now. It hasn't been passed yet, but it's a bill that was introduced of the United States choosing one or the other. Like, you either have to renounce your US citizenship and become a Canadian, or just renounce your Canadian citizenship and become a citizen of the United States. So that's what is going on right now.
There are a lot of things actively changing in the travel industry, so listen up. If you are somebody who holds two passports, a passport for the United States and a passport for another country, you might have to start applying for visas to get back into the United States once you leave. If you used to travel to your home country using your home country's passport, then travel back to the United States using your United States passport, you may not be able to do that anymore.
When we're traveling, we use our hometown country to go, and when we're coming back, we use a US passport. That thing is over. You can't do that no more, and I'm a palpable victim of that. And I should be traveling, but I didn't know how the appropriate visa, because I have the passport of my hometown, and they made it very simple that they can let me go, but coming back, I'm gonna be in trouble.
For those who don't understand and probably are thinking, why won't they just use their United States passport? Using that other country's passport when you're traveling to another destination helps to avoid complications when it comes to entry and exit requirements. Like when you're traveling back to the United States from another country, you have lines that are devoted to United States citizens and everybody else. And the everybody else line is usually massive. So with being able to utilize both passports, it made the travel process smoother for dual citizens. But it's looking like that is
Do you know how ridiculous it is that a guy by the name of Bernardo Moreno Mejia is the one who is trying to get rid of dual citizenship? Like, sir, you are from Colombia. And I don't think that would work in your favor. Like, if they did try to strip people of citizenships, I don't really think they're going to give you much of a choice on which one you get to keep. Like, yes, they are introducing this as some sort of bill that is supposed to guarantee your loyalty to the US. Like, they expect you to pick that citizenship. But who's to say they would even give you a choice? Like, if you're a naturalized citizen, which he is, and I'm aware of that, you can be denaturalized. It's not an easy process. It's not simple. It's extremely hard to do. It's unlikely to ever happen. But that's what they would shoot for. Like, if they are going to start stripping people of dual citizenships, the US one would be the one they wouldn't want you to keep. They're trying to get rid of us. And clearly he doesn't get this. And what is with the self-hatred? Seriously, seek therapy.
If you have a US passport or dual citizenship, you need to watch this video. There are two bills on the table right now that you need to know about. HR 5300 and the Exclusive Citizenship Act of 2025. So HR 5300 was introduced by a Republican representative of Florida, that would expand the powers of the Secretary of State. So keep in mind, the Secretary of State already has the power to deny and revoke U.S. passports. With this bill, it would expand the reasons on which they can be able to deny your passport as well as revoke your passport. And it also decreases your protections. It increased the due process for you, right? Then we got Republican Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio that introduced legislation Exclusive Citizenship Act of 2025. Now, the whole point of that legislation to end dual citizenship. Your boy said if you got dual citizenship, then you got divided loyalty, and that's a conflict of interest. And the U.S. need absolute allegiance. No, I'm not kidding, for real. He said that. Needs absolute allegiance. So either you renounce that foreign citizenship or you renounce your U.S. one. And then if you want to be like, well, I ain't doing either, that's fine, because they're going to take that as you're voluntarily renouncing your U.S. citizenship. Now, neither bill has passed, okay? Both bills have received backlash. Both bills are still on the table. Now, with the H.R. 5300, that bill received so much backlash that supposedly the clause about expanding the powers of the Secretary of State has been removed, but that bill is still passing through to the committee. But y'all let me know what y'all think below.
I'm at Borough Market in London, one of the top tourist attractions in the capital, a favourite for visitors from overseas. However, if you happen to be a dual national, which means that you're lucky enough to be a citizen of both the UK and another country, then there is a very significant change to passport rules that's happening on the 25th of February. Let me tell you what it is. At the moment, suppose you are a British citizen, but you choose to live abroad. You've got a foreign passport. You're perfectly entitled with that passport to come and go from the UK on short stays, to see family, to be a tourist, to go on a business trip. But from the 25th of February, that will all change. From that date, everybody who is not British or Irish has to have an electronic travel authorisation to come to the UK. And you might think, well, that's all right, I've got a French or an American or an Australian passport, I'll just get my ETA through that. But not so fast. The British government says that if you have British citizenship, which might be because you were born here but you then moved abroad, or because you've got it through descendancy, then you have to have one of two things in order to travel legally to the UK. Ideally, it will be a British passport. If you don't have one of those, well, I suggest you get one quickly, or it could be a certificate of right to abode in the UK. But since that is going to cost you nearly £600 and it's going to run out whenever your foreign passport runs out, then I urge you to try to get a British passport if you're planning to travel to the UK anytime soon. It then gets slightly complicated because, of course, if you're coming from an overseas country, then the airline, the shipping company will want to know that you are going to be admitted, and the best way to do that is to show them your British passport. But then when you're travelling back, in order that you don't have, for example, to get the ETIAS required soon for visits to the European Union and the rest of the Schengen area, then you need to go back on your passport from another country. And always a reminder that if you are lucky enough to have an Irish passport, then you are in the best possible situation and you can come and go from Britain anywhere in the European Union or the Schengen area as often as you want without any bureaucracy at all.
Okay, if you are pursuing Italian dual citizenship, then these are all the most important dates that you need to know for this year. It is going to be a huge year for dual Italian citizenship, so pay attention. First one, May 31st of 2026. This is the minor child deadline. It's a very important date. It's the final day that you can register a minor child as Italian under a temporary exception. So your child only qualifies if they were under 18 on May 24th of 2025 and the parent was already recognized as an Italian before the child was born. So if this applies to your family, non-negotiable. Date number 2, March 11th, Constitutional Court. very important, I'm actually planning to go to this hearing in person in Rome. This is when Italy's constitutional court will decide whether the law 74/2025 is constitutional. They're going to be looking at the 2-generation limit, the Italian-only requirement, the retroactive disqualification, and whether the government could even do this as an emergency decree. This decision could literally change everything, especially if you were disqualified. Date number 3 is the Court of Cassation. This is another major one. The date is still to be determined. The Court of Cassation is reviewing the minor issue case. This was originally set for January 2026, but it's been postponed. This case will decide whether the child loses their claim if a parent lost Italian citizenship while the child was still a minor. So a ruling here could change the trajectory for so many people. It could open up so many more paths. It disqualified so many people. So this is going to be really, really important. The bottom line is 2026, this is a huge year for us. It's a huge year for Italian dual citizenship. Pay attention, follow along. I will keep you updated as I can. And just because you were disqualified before, don't write yourself off yet. There's still hope. So if you think you might qualify, or maybe will qualify once all of these court cases happen, I partner with Become Italiani, and they're just a great group, a great duo, and they can kind of help you through the process. They can figure things out if you are, maybe eligible, or if you might be, where to start. They have a DIY guide, and they also have consults that you can do, and they can help you through the whole process. So check the link in my bio. I have all of their information on there so that you can schedule yourself a consult or look at their DIY guide and be on the road to the Italian citizenship journey.
We're hearing about this new ETA visa to get into the UK, but what does that mean if you have dual citizenship? I'm going to break it down for you guys so you understand what that actually looks like. So on the 25th of February 2026, there's going to be a whole new rollout of the new ETA visa to be able to enter the UK. Now this does affect Australians. What happens if you have dual citizenship? The main thing you need to know, if you are British, you need to have a valid British passport to be able to get into the UK. You cannot enter the UK on your Australian passport because you technically cannot apply for an ETA visa. This means you need to make sure your British passport is up to date and is valid. Now, if you have to rush back to the UK for emergencies, you still need to have a British passport. There are no exceptions to this rule. If you've lived in Australia for years and years and years, and you just haven't even had a British passport for forever, you still need a British passport to get back into England. Here's the interesting one. If you're from the UK and you've moved to Australia and you've since had children in Australia, your children are also British. This means they will also need a British passport. They will not be able to travel in on their Australian passport. If you're at a stage where you don't really care about having an English passport and you feel Aussie through and through, you can actually denounce your British citizenship, but I've heard that it does actually cost fair bit of money to do that. The main things you need to do now is check the expiry on your British passport. Make sure it's valid and has at least 6 months on it before entering the UK. This is going to help you if you have those emergencies where you need to quickly fly back home for any reason. Also, you're going to want to keep up to date with any new updates. Check out Smart Traveller and the UK government website as well. Remember, you need to do all of this before the 25th of February 2026.
The good thing is there's not a global ban on like dual citizenship. Most countries still allow dual citizens, allow you to have your 2 passport, allow you to be a citizen of their 2 countries. But these are a few laws and rules that are in the pipeline. Some are already in place, so just if you're a dual citizen of a country, just go to the country website and make sure it does not affect you. And if you are traveling, most people like to travel with their 2 passport, they just switch in between passport. Most of these countries are tightening up the dual citizenship rules and laws. Some are getting rid of it completely, like Nicaragua. The United States is not a law yet. It's still in talks, but hopefully that it doesn't get passed. So most countries, you can still have it's not affecting us right now as American citizens. It's not a law yet, so you don't have to worry about it. But just keep an eye on it and see if this bill passes. If it do passes, then you have to decide what country you want to be a citizen of. And I hope it doesn't pass. I pray that it doesn't pass. But so this is where we are now. So just if you're a dual citizen, make sure you you go to both countries' site and see what else they are trying to amend, what else they're coming up with. But don't forget though, if you are UK citizen, if you're a British citizen, and if you hold a British passport and you're a citizen of, like, let's say America or something, and you're going to London, make sure you have your British passport, or if not, they will not let you in. Or if you don't have your British passport, make sure you have that certificate of whatever it is that they are requiring you to have, so just don't get stopped, don't get detained at the airport, just have the right proper document. But I hope, I don't know why this whole crackdown of dual citizenship, you know what I mean? If they're just making it so hard for us to travel in between countries. But let me know what you think about this story down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.